Imagine believing something for 500 years. Your teachers taught it to you, books confirmed it, monuments celebrated it, and then a scientist opens a tomb, extracts a bone sample the size of a fingernail, and puts it in a machine. 3 weeks later, the machine returns a result. And the result says that everything you believed was a lie. This is not a hypothesis. It happened on October 12, 2024, on a Spanish television screen before millions of viewers, and what Christopher Columbus's DNA revealed that night shook 5 countries at once. Let's start with what we know for certain. Christopher Columbus arrived in America in 1492. That is a fact. What is not a fact, what was never more than a convenient theory, is that he was born in Genoa. Because there is something that history books have failed to explain for 500 years. Columbus wrote in Castilian and in Portuguese, never in Italian, never in the Genoese dialect. In his private letters, those not meant for other eyes, he used expressions in Hebrew. He calculated the Hebrew calendar with a precision that a Genoese sailor of the 15th century would have had no reason to know. And he kept the secret of his origin with a discipline that, seen from today, has only one explanation. Revealing who he was could cost him his life. The year is 1492. The Catholic monarchs have just signed the Edict of Granada. 300,000 Jews must choose, convert or leave Spain. For those who stay pretending to be Catholic, the conversos, the Inquisition is a permanent threat. To be discovered means trial, torture, the stake. And there lies the detail that for centuries almost no one wanted to look at directly. On August 2nd, 1492, the last ship carrying Jews expelled from Spain leaves port. On August 3rd, Columbus sets sail westward. One day separates the greatest Jewish expulsion in history from the voyage that changed the world. Was Columbus a Jew who found the only possible way out, or simply a 500-year coincidence? DNA was going to answer that question. The year is 2003. José Antonio Lorente is a professor of legal and forensic medicine at the University of Granada. He has spent his career identifying human remains in cases where justice needed certainty. That year, someone makes him an unusual proposal: analyse the DNA of Christopher Columbus. The problem is this. When Columbus died in Valladolid in 1506, his remains began a journey that lasted nearly 400 years. From Valladolid to Seville, from Seville to Santo Domingo, from Santo Domingo to Cuba, and from Cuba back to Seville in 1898. 5 centuries of transfers, wars, and claims. Were the bones resting in Seville Cathedral really Columbus's? No one knew for certain. Lorente was going to find out. The first answer arrives with surprising clarity. Comparing the mitochondrial DNA, the kind passed from mother to child without alteration across generations, from the Seville remains with those of Diego Columbus, the admiral's brother, identical. The bones belong to Christopher Columbus. First question answered, but the second question, where he was from, proves more difficult. In 2005, the study halts. The DNA from 500-year-old bones is so degraded that the technology of the time cannot extract enough information. The project is shelved, and the world goes on believing Columbus was Genoese. 16 years later, technology has changed everything. Next-generation sequencers can read degraded DNA that 20 years ago was unrecoverable. Lorente unshelves the project. This time he also has the remains of Hernando Columbus, the admiral's son, buried in the same cathedral. The son's DNA can confirm, or destroy, what the father concealed. 22 years after it began, the verdict arrives. Lorente analyses 2 genetic lines. The Y chromosome, passed from father to son intact across generations. It traces the paternal line. Mitochondrial DNA, passed from mother to child. It traces the maternal line. Both analyses lead to the same place. Compatible with Sephardic Jewish origin, compatible with the Western Mediterranean, incompatible with Genoa. The team analysed 25 different hypotheses of origin. Only one fit Columbus's complete genetic profile, and his son's, the Western Mediterranean. Traits consistent with a family of Sephardic Jewish origin. And Genoa was ruled out not for one reason, but for 2. The first, the genetics did not match. The second, in the 15th century there was no Jewish community in Genoa, no synagogue, no record of any Jewish family with the surname Colombo in that city. If Columbus was Sephardic Jewish, and the DNA indicates he was, Genoa is impossible. "500 years of official history, monuments, holidays, textbooks in 20 languages, and a sequencing machine that in 3 weeks undid all of it." When the RTVE documentary aired on October 12, 2024, the reaction was exactly what one might expect. Italy denied, Spain celebrated, and the Dominican Republic stayed silent. Italian historians called for more evidence. They questioned the methodology. They pointed out that DNA cannot determine with absolute certainty the exact place of birth. They were right on that point, but they could not refute the central finding. The genetic profile of Christopher Columbus does not match that of any Genoese family from the 15th century. And then there is the detail that almost no one mentions when discussing this study. When the Spanish scientists analysed the bones in Seville, the Dominican Republic refused to open its own mausoleum. Because they too have remains they claim are the authentic ones of Columbus. Lorente proved that the ones in Seville are real. But the unanswered question remains: what does the mausoleum in Santo Domingo contain? No one has analysed it. There is something DNA cannot tell you. It cannot tell you why a man decided to cross an ocean with 3 ships and no certainty. It cannot tell you whether he did it out of ambition, faith or desperation. But it can tell you who he was, and what it says is this: the man who discovered America for Europe was not who we were told he was. He concealed his identity his entire life because in the world he lived in, revealing it could cost him everything, and he did it so well that it took us 500 years to find out.